25th, 2024, this fine Wednesday. We have about 33 minutes to open. Sorry for the late start there. Hope everybody's doing outstanding. Talk really quick about the market, some names I'm looking at, go from there. But not much to add from what I ranted about yesterday afternoon. Take a look at the S&P. The futures were lower this morning, kind of recouped some of those losses, but we were still slightly in the red. Asia markets overnight continues some of their rally from the China stimulus-infused surge it had the day before. Is that a short-lived bounce, or is it the start of a move to the upside? I guess we'll find out over the next couple sessions. Put it on the watch list this morning. Still have that 571 handle, which we're at right now. Seems like some resistance. Closed right at it yesterday. If we get through that, maybe some blue skies. If you take a look at the last 4 sessions, it almost looks like consolidation. Similar small, tight candles, tight trading ranges, which I think bodes well considering where we've been since the start of August. So large move all the way up into September. We had the little dip in September, and then another large move to all-time highs. Maybe another day or two consolidation. We have Fed Chair Powell. It looks like he's just going to do prepare remarks at it's a New York Fed meeting, Treasury market meeting. I forget what it's exactly called, but there's a little link to click his. It says prepare remarks at 9:20. So I think that's all he's going to do. I think Janet Yellen speaks at it as well. So I don't know if his comments going to move too much, move the markets too much. And also, if you take a look at the CME Fed Watch 2, the market's pricing in nearly a 60% probability of a 0.5% rate cut at the next Fed meeting, which is near the first week or two of November. So interesting stuff. A lot of talk about breadth, right? A lot of stocks, and we've had rallies over the years where it's only been the Magnificent Seven or just a couple stocks leading the charge and accounting for a majority of the gains in the S&P. Right now, it seems like there's a lot more stocks participating in a move to the upside. So you take a look at the stocks over their 50-day moving average on the S&P, it's up over 80% now. So 82.5%, right near those highs we hit back at the end of March and April, where we were right around 84%. So that's pretty remarkable. Does that mean we're overbought? I don't know. It just seems, I mean, if the market's rallying and we've had a long bounce, especially from the August lows, you would expect it to be that many or a large percentage of stocks over the 50-day moving average. All right, so 571 on the SPY, resistance 568 or so for support, and hopefully some chop. Or I would prefer to, of course, a blue sky breakout. But if we do get some chop, watching that 568 for support. Well, it seems like the pattern which we had back in August as well, and some of September, is the market opens higher, we sell off till 10:30, find a bottom, and then bounce. And that's what happened yesterday. Bounced till noon hour, and then we just chopped for the rest of the day till the last minute surge. We had huge volume on the SPY at the end of the day. All right, so individual names. Obviously, first I'll talk about V. Just a monster move to the downside yesterday, down over 5.5%. It was already down quite a bit, and then the press conference and the release of the FTC suit against Visa was kind of, I guess you would call it damning, right? I guess that's the word people are using. But there was also a suit when they tried to acquire Plaid back in 2020, and that also seems somewhat damning. So, I mean, I don't know. It's going to certainly put an overhang on the stock, and you see, it's almost like it probably takes a little while for the sentiment to change. But I put on the chart yesterday that 50 and 200-day moving average around 271, 270. I think that gets hit, and I'll probably lock a few more of my puts in. I don't have many left, and then I'll just hold the rest. And if it breaks 270, I might look for some spec puts, depending on what those prices look like. There's other names in the space, and it kind of I don't know how to put it, but I'm not saying it just adds credibility to my bear case on the third-party processors, but I just think it's definitely a headwind, and I think it's going to get some folks who were hoping for more upside on Visa to maybe just step back for a bit. So I think it tests at least 271, 270. I'll hold just a couple after I lock some more in, and then possibly visit with more puts, or just hold the rest because I have time on the puts for maybe a move down. You take a look, it was 255 back at end of July. So I'm not saying it gets there. It was 257 at the start of August. It doesn't mean it gets there. Just there's room for more downside is kind of my thoughts there. All right, so that's that. SE, a great move yesterday. I mean, it's up 6 sessions in a row, up another 2.4% yesterday. I locked some of my calls in for over 100%. I'll probably lock a few more in at the open, and then I'll wait and see. I might look to add for some strikes above 110 or so into possibly into November. I just think this is a name that's going over $100 in the short term and possibly 110 before the year is out. A great story. But then, like I always say, I mean, it's at some point there's gonna be some consolidation, not for any other reason than just people taking profits. So I'm not ruling out here a little pull at the open. It is a little red here before the open, but that's kind of thought process there in SE. You take a look at a longer term chart too. There's plenty of room, and you took look at the start of 2022 was $200 stock, and again similar to what I say with Visa. Just because it was there doesn't mean it's getting there, but there's definitely opportunity, especially now that they're on the cusp of all their segments being profitable. So there'll be a cash cow. All right, so that's SE. Not much here to add about Clear. I think it's like 4 or 5 sessions of pretty much just flat trading. Did close in the green yesterday. It's gapping a little bit here in the pre-market. 34 plus coming soon, and then 36 plus in the coming weeks. Continue to hold my strikes there. VKTX disappointing again. Back-to-back days to the downside. Yesterday down nearly 5%. No news, no catalyst. After the close yesterday, short interest numbers came out from the Nasdaq, which is a lagging indicator. So it's 2 weeks behind, but it does give an update on what the short interest in has actually dropped 1.2 million shares on VKTX. You can look at the short interest as in 2 aspects, right? So if you're long the name and you think people have the story wrong, high short interest means, wow, this could really start to go once the market starts to catch on. And then the other side of it is, hey, once the short interest starts going down, that means some of these shorts are throwing their bear case. They're folding their cards. They're throwing it in and giving up on their bear case. So, of course, when there's a short interest increase in a VKTX, I'm like, wow, this is great for a short squeeze. But it seems like they've had this horse collared in where the stock really hasn't been able to break out, and maybe this is a sign that the shorts will start to cover and we can start to head to into the 70s and beyond. Needs to break 75 or so before I add more strikes. I'll continue to hold my October calls. Same return, down 4 sessions in a row. Just disappointing. Still remains under its offering price of 1049. Got to get over that 1070 handle. Still like this one for upside. I've been talking about CRBP since the start of the week. It teased again yesterday. Looked like it was going to hold green. Hit lows right near the end of the day before bouncing. Gapping a little bit here in the pre-market. I don't want to catch a falling knife. Does this head down to 17, 16? I don't think so. I mean, you start looking at its cash value and I've went on a ramble already on this one, but don't be surprised if I add some October 25s maybe. The only good thing with this is the more I look at it and the longer I wait, the lower the premiums are getting on the calls, which will offer some nice returns if once the stock bounces. I don't know if it's going to do it yet, but timing's tough. So I mean, one day there could be an upgrade and the stock could gap up to 24, 25. So really like that one. At some point, I'll add some strikes. I did my rant yesterday on BIDU in the afternoon. I was running with all the China ADRs. And if you know my thoughts on BIDU, I think they're positioned to do really well in China and transition from just being a straight monetizing their ads to actually being a platform for AI and the robo taxis and the next stage of growth. So unfortunately, China's been it succumbs to the pressure of what the China markets are doing. So regardless of what BIDU is doing, if the China markets are down overnight, Baidu's down overnight. Last night, actually, China markets closed slightly higher, and Baidu still gapped down. So the other China ADRs, if it bounces today from red to green, I may look for some calls to play for a move of 100, possibly some spec weeklies. If not to spec weeklies, maybe some longer dated strikes, because I'm not convicted enough yet to think that this is the bottom for China stocks. But even if we're just flat for a bit, I think Baidu can outperform. That's Baidu. Biogen, I'm still looking to possibly add some strikes. It's at multi-year lows. I'm looking for some of these mega cap bio names. I think if biotech runs to the end of the year, I think some of these oversold names might do well. And Biogen's one of those names. I might look to get some calls into earnings, which would be at the end of October. So maybe some November strikes. Yeah, and I think that's it. I'm trying to think of some of the other names here. PCE data's on Friday. I don't even know if that's going to do too much unless it comes in way hotter than expected or way cooler than expected. That's that. I'm trying to think. That's it, folks. Let's have a great day. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.